Information with Knowledge World Academy. Your perfect tutor, Mr. Gilbert CJ. So we are looking at gender equity and equality. But in this video, we are going to look at gender-based violence and the introduction to family law. So we are going to introduce family law. Okay, so what is gender-based violence, GBV? I hope this is very familiar to you. You've heard of this, GBV, gender-based violence. What is gender-based violence? So gender-based violence is the violence involving men and women, in which women are usually the victims. The victims, we mean they are the ones who receive this violence in most cases. That is the simple definition of gender-based violence. Okay, so there are three types of gender-based violence. We have physical violence, psychological violence, and structural violence. So what is physical violence? This is the type of violence directed on the body, the physical body, such as beating someone. That is physical violence. Secondly, we have psychological violence. So this is the most destructive type of violence, psychological violence. So when you hear the word psych, something that has to do with the mind or the soul. So this involves the violence directed on the mind, such as insulting someone. That is psychological violence. You are harming those people mentally. You are injuring them mentally. That is the most destructive type of violence. That's why most people, for example, the wives, would prefer to be beaten by their husbands and not to be shouted at or to be insulted. Because psychological violence is the most destructive type of violence. You just be thinking about the insults. So that is psychological violence directed on the mind. Then we have structural violence. So this one involves all forms of violence that occurs within the structures of institutions. So we're talking about things like not having access to services such as employment and other things. That is structural violence. I hope we are together on the three types of gender-based violence. Now, what are the causes of gender-based violence? What causes gender-based violence? So number one, socialization. Learned behavior that is based on cultural practices and beliefs which disadvantage women and children, especially the girl child. Just some of the beliefs that you learn through socialization also contribute to gender-based violence. Then we have gender stereotyping, gender role stereotyping, societal beliefs, myths, or attitudes that men and women, by virtue of their socialization, should perform certain tasks, a bit similar to the first point. Then low self-esteem by the perpetrator. The perpetrator is that one who is abusing the other one. So the one who is being abused or the abused is known as the victim. Then the one who is abusing or the abuser is the perpetrator, the performer. Then insecurity is also another cause of GBV. Insecurity, social and economic dependence by the abused. You just depend on your husband for everything. Your husband should provide everything for you. So that gives room to some people, just the nature of some individuals. We are very much different from one another. So that gives room for some people to mistreat you because they know to say, even if they beat you countless times, you are going nowhere. That's how it is. So you don't have to be so dependent on your husband, or if you are the husband, on your wife. So these are some of the causes of gender-based violence. What are the effects of gender-based violence? Is it good or bad? So number one, oppression of the spouse. The abused, that is the victim, cannot realize his or her potential and contribute fully to the development of the country and the family. You are always beaten as the wife. You are always insulted as the husband. When will you realize your potential to contribute to the welfare or to the development of the country and the family? That is not possible for you because you are always abused, either psychologically or physically. Then the abused may be fearful, angry or preoccupied with their own safety and not willing to perform duties that are expected of them. They are always in search of defense for themselves. They want to be safe. Then sexual abuse results in transmission of STIs such as HIV and AIDS. Sexual abuse. So if she says no, she means no. Physical, mental injury, and death. Gender-based violence is not something that we need to condone in this country. It is something that is very dangerous. It leads to death. You can beat your wife to death. You can beat your husband to death. So these are the effects of gender-based violence. Now, how can we stop or how can we reduce gender-based violence? So ways of reducing GBV, gender-based violence. Number one, speaking out about the problem. If you have a problem in your house, if you are the husband or you are the wife, don't keep it to yourself. Speak out about the problem. Sensitizing the community on the effects of gender-based violence. Some people lack knowledge about these things. They do not know that insulting someone is gender-based violence. That is violence. Insulting someone is violence. So you just find them on the street insulting one another. They don't know the effect that those insults have on the psyche, which is the mind. Those things have got great impact. They have got effect. That's why if you are not used to insults and then someone insults you, I'm telling you, assist couples to discuss and resolve their duties. Reporting cases of GBV to the victim support unit. The husband beats the wife, you report the husband to the victim support unit. They don't play games there. Those guys don't play games. When you take your husband there, telling you when coming back, he will be a reformed citizen. He will be a good citizen. In fact, he will not be called the husband now. He will be called a citizen. Victim support unit, they don't play games. So, by that way, we will reduce gender-based violence. Encouraging victims to go for legal advice. Encourage those people who are being abused to go for legal advice. Now, like I said, we'll look at gender-based violence and the introduction to family. So let us just introduce this topic, family law. It's a subtopic of gender-based violence. So what is a family? A family is a group of people who are related by either blood or marriage. There are only two things here. It's either you're related by blood or marriage. So there are four types of families that we have. One, nuclear family. Nuclear family is made up of the husband, wife, and children only, no other relative. Then extended family is made up of the husband, wife, children, and other relatives such as uncles, nieces, nephews. And this is the most common type of family in Zambia. Then have single-headed family. This is a type of family which is headed by a single parent. It may be the husband died or the wife died, or maybe because of divorce or separation. So this type of family is headed by a single parent. The last one, which is the most recent developed one, is the child-headed family. This is the most recent emerged type of family, the child-headed family, where children bring up themselves, being headed by the eldest child. This results from HIV/AIDS, accidents, and other things, where both parents die and there is no other person, no other relative to take care of the children. Hence, they remain alone like that and bring up themselves. We said a family is a group of people related by either blood or marriage. So let us talk about marriage. What is marriage? So marriage is a legal union between a man and a woman, or women as husband and wife or wives. So this marriage is a contract that is based on these elements, the four elements. The first element of this marriage contract is the rights. The rights are the entitlements that a wife or a husband enjoys in the union. For example, the husband enjoys the rights of being cooked for or being washed for by the wife. Those are the rights. Obligations. So obligations are duties performed by each party. For example, each spouse has got the duty to take care of the other spouse. Ensure that your spouse is safe. That's why when you are at work as a husband and then they call you that your wife has been beaten, I'm telling you, you run like never before. So you have the duty to protect your other spouse. So that is an obligation. Then the third element is the capacities. So the capacities are abilities or capabilities each spouse brings to the union. For example, the wife comes with the ability to conceive and bear a child. That is an ability which the husband cannot do. Then incapacities. The incapacities are inabilities which each spouse brings to the union. For example, a wife who is not educated and not skilled. See, there are two things here. Not educated and not skilled may bring an inability of not providing for the union. So that is an inability. You're not educated, you are not skilled, they give you business you can't handle, they give you school things you can't handle. So these are the 4 elements of a marriage contract. We have introduced this nice and interesting topic, which is family law. We are going to